The edging has finished.
The edging is over.
It is time to immediately move on to Spider-Man and Avatar: The Last Airbender, apparently. So
to boldly go where no Magic set has gone before. New York City.
New York City. Except if you can't... Well, New Capenna, technically. But anyway, this is our preview video for Spider-Man and for Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm kidding. No, we're here to talk about Edge of Eternities. If you were able to watch this as we were recording it, which, hello to the FBI agent. How's it going, Saul? It's good to see you.
Yep. Good to hear from you.
We are right between pre-release and full retail release for Edge of Eternities, and we're starting to see how the set is shaking out a little bit. A lot of interesting quirks going on with this set, kind of bending and modifying itself, it seems, to fit the... We are doing a lot of universes beyond.
Yeah.
There are only 15 legendary creatures in the whole set.
Yeah. The set doesn't take up a lot of space for a space set, you know?
It's true. It's true. It's being very svelte in its sphere of influence, you know?
But maybe it'll be that shining star that we didn't expect.
That is true. That is true. That is true. Moving on from these platitudic, is that even a word?
I'm sure it is somewhere.
Moving on from the school motivational poster platitudes. What is Wyatt? Wyatt, a.k.a. the Typical Gemini, here to join us in reviewing this set.
And to make bad puns.
And that's really what you're here for, is the pun making. What's your overview? What's the vibe you've gotten from Edge of Eternities now that the full set has been revealed? Cards are in players' hands. What is the 1,000-yard eagle-eye view you got?
I'm just slightly disappointed, simply because the lack of legendary creatures. I get it, though. I do understand. We just came hot off of almost everything's a legendary, and we're going to go right back to most things are legendary in Spider-Man. So I get that this is supposed to be a nice little break to give us like some breathing room. But it is the last in-universe Magic set for the year, and it is kind of disappointing that we go out like a lamb, sort of. But everything else looks really cool. The set aesthetic is cool.
For what it's worth, the legendary creatures and commanders we do get... I have to make the distinction now between legendary creatures and commanders, because they're not exactly the same.
They're not.
The strategies that we're getting, the build-around plans, the decks that these legendary creatures are like leaning into are very, very interesting, I will say. And we'll get into all of that when we get to some specific cards toward the end of the review. But for Edge of Eternities, just like every set that's well-designed, at least, there are the 10 color pairs as the core archetypes. Moving away from Tarkir Dragonstorm, where they had the 3-color pair, or 3-color wedges, we now go back to the classic 10 pairs. It is very firmly a 2-color set if you are playing in a pre-release or limited environment. Temur and Grixis can work because there's two archetypes that overlap with those color combinations, but with Azorius, we get double spells very similar to the Jeskai Flurry from Tarkir Dragonstorm. Dimir artifacts, Rakdos Void, which is also kind of artifacts as well. Gruul Landfall, Selesnya +1/+1 counters, Orzhov Goes Wide. Is it artifacts? So you, in theory, you could do a 3-color. Dimir artifacts, is it artifacts, or Rakdos Void? You can kind of just jam all together if you really, really wanted to.
Is it artifacts? Is it really?
I mean, it is. It is. Golgari Graveyard, Boros Space Stations, and then Simic Ramp. The Simic Ramp archetype and Oh my gosh, why am I blanking here? The Gruul Landfall and the Simic Ramp go very well together. There's a lot of very good common and uncommon green creatures in this set. I have managed to play a pre-release so far. I ended up building a Boros deck. Did not really do space stations. I included one spacecraft in the deck, and I never cast it. Never needed to. I just did classic Boros aggro shenanigans. There's a lot of
that ship sailed.
That is true. That is true. I pulled a little bit from the +1/+1 counters from the Selesnya a little bit. Pulled a little bit, obviously, the Boros aggressive stuff. And Rakdos has a lot of good cards in that color combination. Ended up going 2-0, 2-0, 2-3. Was
not bad.
Tied with like 3 other people for first, so that was pretty cool, all things considered. Yeah. Got 3 prize packs. Got myself a collector booster. All that you can check out on the YouTube channel. We did some shorts talking about that. But Wyatt, he's got to return the child. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back after Wyatt removes the child. Like any good American father, Wyatt has pawned his child off onto the mother-in-law.
Of course.
as you do.
As you do.
Any self-respecting American... I hope the camera caught that my cat just leaped from the dresser onto my bed. I've got the suitcase out because I'm getting ready to pack for Gen Con.
For Gen Con.
Yes. But we just went over all of the archetypes that are available for you in Edge of Eternities. What kind of vibe are you getting? I think that there's one color of the 5 that is, in my opinion, better than the other 4 by like a pretty wide margin. What do you think?
Yeah. Personally, there's a lot of stuff I really like in this set, but my biggest takeaway is definitely Gruul Landfall. Landfall is always a very strong mechanic. I feel we've gotten a lot of really, really good mass land reanimation stuff from Murders at Karlov Manor.
Duskmourn.
Bloombro gave Bellow.
Oh yeah, Bellow.
And Duskmourn as well. So, and this set seems to have a focus of like sacrificing your lands to get other benefits, or being able to play lands out of your graveyard. Of course, we also got the Commander deck that does similar stuff. Mm-hmm. So that just seems really interesting to me. Something that sticks out. What about you?
So, White is obviously, to me at least, when I look at these cards and having seen them played, at least at my local game store, White, far and away, the best color of the set, in my opinion. Green, very close behind them. But White, it just has so many great tools at its disposal. It's got some of the better removal in the set, up there with Red, which I think has... White doesn't have, like, the best of any archetype, but it's got, like, the second best in, like, most of them. Even with land. Like, they have several cards that are making lander tokens. They have a card that's, like, dedicated with landfall, even. And the big one here, I know we're not calling out specifics quite yet, but Starfield Shepherd, that warp ability, being able to tutor up a plains or a creature card of mana value 1 or less is very, very good with a warp of 2 mana. And then you can later get a 3/2 flyer for 5 mana when you need to push through damage and do it again. You've got cards that can tap down big threats, so you can get damage in. A lot of +1/+1 counter synergy with the Selesnya. I mean, they got Corey Steelcutter at home. Wyatt.
Yeah.
White's got Corey Steelcutter at home. It's a very powerful color in this set.
Okay.
In my opinion. I might be wrong.
Well, you've played and I haven't, so I'll take your word for it.
I have never once been wrong in an opinion for Magic the Gathering. I can confidently say that. He said sarcastically, but only a little bit. We mentioned earlier there are 15 legendary creatures. There are also spaceships with Edge of Eternities, legendary artifacts that have a power toughness box on the front of them. So vehicles, and in the case of Edge of Eternities, spacecraft that are legendary and have a power toughness box can be your commander. There were only 3 legendary spacecraft that happened to have a power toughness box on them. So not a massive shift. That's in the main set. In the commander set, the commander cards, there's a couple more. But nothing too crazy being added to the new commander list. And I think that was partially... we talk about how Final Fantasy has a bunch of legends. Spider-Man's going to have a bunch of legends. Avatar's going to have a bunch of legends. And they're already being criticized for how many legends they've been printing every year. And I think this is just trying to keep the average down.
I think so.
It is what it is. I think ultimately it's fine.
Yeah, a set was going to have to take a hit somewhere.
Absolutely. But with Edge of Eternities, we have 5 new set mechanics that these archetypes kind of work around. The one we've already brought up just now, stations and spacecraft. Spacecraft is a new artifact type, and it uses charge counters to gain abilities, and some of them become creatures. Creatures can be tapped at sorcery speed to add charge counters to the spacecraft equal to their power, and then when they get a number of charge counters greater than the threshold of their station ability, they gain that ability. A lot of them only have 1, a couple of them have 2 or more station thresholds to gain abilities to become creatures. I was worried in the pre-release environment or before release, that it was going to be too slow. After playing just 3 pre-release games at the local game store, I could certainly tell you that it is not as slow as I thought it was. You need 8 charge counters to activate this uncommon spacecraft. That's very unfortunate. But there's a ton of cards that give you benefit for becoming tapped that have 2 or more power, and then suddenly in 2 turns it's fully online.
Yeah, I mean, that seems good.
Yeah. Along the same kind of lines, the planet lands have the station mechanic attached to them. It is a cycle of 5 lands that are all monocolor, and they gain an ability through charge counters as well, in the same way that spacecraft do. All of them equally powerful.
Yes, notoriously. Every single one.
There's definitely not one that really, really sucks by comparison, by a massively wide margin, particularly when there are 2 that are far and away amazing and way better.
Yeah, definitely not my favorite color being punished.
Not at all. We're talking about the red land. The red land sucks.
Yeah, terrible. And I know people say all the time, they're like, oh, it's a land that gives haste, I'm putting it in this. I understand that, okay? Mm-hmm. I fully understand that there are homes for this land, okay? I'm not saying that it can't be useful, but what I'm saying is, if you can get multiple untaps of the Gaia's Cradle or the Tolarian community, Tolarian Academy, or the white one that lets you create a legendary token, 1 or 2 untaps with those is game over. You are somehow able to untap this land. Let's say you could untap it 3 times and activate its ability 3 times. Congratulations. You've lost 3 lands, you've given your creatures +3/+0, and you've paid 6 mana for it.
And that's not including the fact that you have to tap a land to activate that as well.
Right.
So it's effectively 9 mana.
And you get a robot, okay? And you get a robot.
You get 3 2/2s.
You get a 2/2 robot.
And the +3/+0 is spread out as +1/+0 over 3 turns. So it's a great bulk rare. Great bulk mythic, even.
It's
That's
just
great.
when you stack it up against the other ones, it's just so weak by comparison.
We'll get to that cycle later, Wyatt.
We got to
talk about warp. Warp is kicker. I'm kidding. It's kicker. Kicker's in the set on 2 cards. But warp is very similar to the adventure mechanic that we've seen from Lorwyn and Eldraine. Warp, you can cast a card from your hand for its warp cost. They are all warp abilities are on creatures. When the creature enters the battlefield, it gives some kind of benefit. I think there's one that doesn't have any ETB, but it has haste. And at the beginning of the end step, you exile that creature, and then it can be cast from exile on a later turn. So the base mana cost of it is what it is. It will live in exile. It will be immune to any sort of hand hate, discarding, any duress, anything that can mess with your hand. It's
any kind of tomfoolery.
It's basically an extra card in your hand at that point. And you get its ETB effect on your turn. If you have a way to give it haste, you also get an attack out of these creatures. Most of the warp creatures are pretty good.
Yes.
Pretty very good. Very much very good. Pretty very good. Void is a new kind of static ability on cards that is going to give them an additional benefit if a non-land permanent has left the battlefield this turn, or if a spell was warped this turn. It synergizes very well with warp, but because if it is any non-land permanent leaving the battlefield, it does not have to be a non-land permanent that you control. If somebody on another player sacrifices a treasure, Void is turned on. If you attack into a board state and one of your creatures dies, a token dies, you get Void activated. If you flicker something, Void is activated. All of these cards with Void are fine, not really great as their base cost, but when Void is online, they become much more competitive at their mana costs. Lastly, we have a new artifact token with the Lander token. It is rampant growth on an artifact token. You pay 2, you tap and sacrifice it. You can search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield, tapped, and then shuffle. All colors are able to make Lander tokens. It's the main form of mana fixing if you are going into multicolored world for draft or for pre-release. I think Warp is by far the best of these new mechanics. What do you make of our new set mechanics?
I like Warp. I think Warp is a very interesting mechanic because it's something that you can use to get something out to get its effect off early, or just for a one-time thing. And if nothing works out, it gets exiled and you can cast it again.
Some of the most powerful cards from the set that I have listed for us to talk about later are Warp cards, and they're powerful because they have Warp, in my opinion.
Similar to Morbid in that way.
That is true. That is true. In the packs that you are opening in Draft, in pre-release, and in Collector Boosters more specifically, you're going to have a couple of extra cards that'll be helpful in those limited environments but are not necessarily standard legal. These include the Stellar Sights and Special Guest bonus sheets. There are 2 technically. Those Special Guests are much, much rarer and are only 10 cards. Stellar Sights are reprints of 45 lands from across Magic's history, including very expensive and very playable lands like Strip Mine, Gemstone Cavern, Ancient Tomb, Mana Confluence, Lotus Field, Thespian Stage, Plaza of Heroes, and then a ton that are just kind of meh at the end of the day. There is a 12.5% chance to get it in the wildcard slot of a play booster, and less than a 2% chance in the foil slot. In every collector booster, you are guaranteed a Stellar Sights land. For special guests, they are reprinting 10 cards using an art style that is very similar to old sci-fi movie posters. Everyone has
insane.
They look very, very pretty.
Yeah.
Warping Whale, Deafening Silence, Robe of Stars, Nexus of Fate, Paradox Haze, Darkness, Magus of the Moon, Burgeoning, Green Sun Zenith, and Sliver Overlord are the 10 cards in the special guest slot. You can get them in 1.8% of play boosters where it will replace a common, and it is not available in the foil slot or the wildcard slot. And then 6% of collector boosters, it'll be available in the foil booster fun slot. In a way, the non-foils are going to end up being rarer in some respects, but not as many collector boosters are going to be open. I think the
In a
Stellar
way.
Sights bonus sheet is top notch, personally.
Yes. They've
Very-
really been knocking it out of the park with the art lately.
They really have. They look beautiful, and the reprint quality from the Stellar Sights, I think, is very good. The special guests, the art is beautiful, but like, yeah, Sliver Overlord's cool. Magus of the Moon, Green Sun Zenith, I think, is the best hit you can get out of all 10 of them, in my opinion. And the rest of them are just kind of like interesting role players.
Yeah.
What do you think of the arts? There's a lot of different arts. We didn't even get into all of the various art styles that are available in this set.
Okay, so real quick, some of the lands I'm not super crazy about. I'm just going to be upfront about that. They're all right. Some of them look cool, but some of the lands I'm just like, I could take it or leave it,
Yeah.
But the special guest cards, I kind of want every single one. They look so cool.
They really do.
And I just love that art style. Like the burgeoning, Green Sun Zenith, like you said, Deafening Silence is great. Nexus of Fate, oh my goodness, there's just so many ones that look so good. So definitely going to be spending a little bit of money on the singles this set to try to get a hold of some of these for sure.
Listen, I have a Heliod, God of the Sun, mono white control, if you can believe it or not. Commander deck. Would love a Deafening Silence, quite frankly. And for less than $5, you can get the special guest. And it's only going to go down as it gets opened more, I think.
Right.
So, pretty good pickup. There's a lot of really good looking cards. I mean, Magus of the Moon's less than $10. What is it? Green Sun Zenith. Where are we at? Ooh, $30 for Green Sun Zenith, but that's kind of the going rate for anything that's not just a base copy of it.
Right.
So, not too bad. Not too bad.
Not too shabby at all.
What do you think of the two other art styles for cards that you can open? The one it's on the lands where it looks like you're looking through the window of the spacecraft, and then the legendary creatures that have just kind of the more Star Wars promotional material kind of vibe. Like very solid, blocky. I can't remember the name. I should have written this down. I apologize. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I believe so. I believe I know what you're referring to. The ones where you look like you're looking through the window.
Yeah, it's like the spaceship's landing on a planet, and then you're looking through the window.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
Okay.
Like I said, some of them look really good, and some of them are. I'm just not a super big fan. Like the Cascading Cataracts. Like the art looks stunning, super super cool. The spaceship's kind of flying through it like that. I'm kind of not digging. But again, that's just me,
Okay, they're called the Borderless Viewport Lands, and which, by the way, this is the first time we're mentioning it here. Shocklands have been reprinted and are standard legal now. Not all 10 of them, 5 of them are. But them, as well as the cycle of the mythic planet lands, are in that viewport style, which is just it. I think we talked about this on a recent episode of the Duels of Mana Dorks podcast, where it looks like shitty proxies because the art looks cool, the art's fine. But then they take the name and they shove it like all the way down, and then they squish all the text like at the bottom, and then put all the art on top, and it just gives the energy of a proxy.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still coughing all over the place, so I'm trying not to do that into the microphone to the best of my abilities. Oh my god, why is it not?
Full art land cycle for the set though looks crazy.
Oh,
good.
The full arts are great. In person, they're even better. The galaxy foiling on this as well, you can get those in the collector boosters, is like très magnifique. It's not over the top like Infinity was, Like, Unfinity, like, punched you in the face with the Galaxy Foil. The Galaxy Foil here, much more subtle and, in my opinion, much nicer. Oh gosh, what is the name of the Triumphant cards? It's the one where it's got the creature, and then there's, like, the circle of color, and then, like, a spaceship, like, going through in a line. I think all of them look really, really slick. And then there's Surreal Space as well. All of these are available in the Booster Fun slot of packs. Like, there's a lot of very interesting art. And we're not even getting into the Japanese showcase arts either that you can get in collector boosters. It's like, they're doing a million fucking arts with these cards nowadays. And there's going to be a version that everyone likes.
Yeah. These look crazy. They could have been a secret layer.
Literally. There's so many cards. Like, the whole special guest line could have been 2 secret layers.
Mm-hmm.
It's 10 cards, but... Alright. We've talked about the art. We've talked about the archetypes. We've gone over all the set mechanics. Let's start talking about cards. Everyone wants to talk about cards.
Let's talk about cards.
This is where the fun... I hope people have been having fun, but this is where really the fun, where we get a little nasty. You know, a little flirtatious even with some of these cards, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so before we get to the planet lands, I'm gonna edge you a little bit more here with Eternity. The Shocklands are in Standard. There are 5 Shocklands being reprinted. It is Breeding Pool, Godless Shrine, Sacred Foundry, Stomping Ground, and Watery Grave. I imagine the other 5 Shocklands are going to be reprinted very soon after. I could see them happening in, like, the Avatar set. I could see them happening in the Lorewind set that we're getting
probably
at the beginning
Spider-Man.
of next year. I don't know if we're going to get them, like, right after in Spider-Man, though, is the thing. I don't think it really fits with the vibe.
I just think it would be hilarious.
It would be very funny.
Yeah.
What do you think Shocklands are going to, like, really shake up how Standard operates? Do you think it'll be good? It'll be bad?
I think Shocklands always kind of leave a mark on Standard whenever they're in it, simply because color is always a huge problem, and one of the most homogenous yet diverse standards we saw was probably like Tarkir.
Mm-hmm.
The first Tarkir, where we had both the fetches and the shocks.
Just crazy to think of in modern Magic having both of those cycles legal in Standard.
Right, so you could just get whatever. I mean, mana cost meant nothing. You know, so anything being color intensive is a non-factor. But I think they will make some difference. I'm sure that some deck will stand above the rest with these Shocklands now.
I think there's a lot of ramifications of the Shocklands. The Tolarian Community College, the professor, put out a great video talking about why Shocklands are so good, and so I'm going to parrot some of those points here. But getting a color fixing land that can conditionally enter untapped always, and it always taps for both of its colors, is good.
Yeah, it's basically a dual land.
Having that land with basic land types was good in the fetch land meta because it could be fetched, but it's good in the current meta because of the Verge lands, where suddenly one shock land will turn on your on-color Verges as well, turning them into just dual, like, effectively original dual lands. That's partially why the Surveil lands have been very good as well. Mm-hmm. So, like, a cadre of shocks, Verges, and Surveil to, like, sprinkle in a little bit is going to make up a lot of mana bases, is going to fix a lot of mana bases in a much more effective way. And I think being able to have the shock lands is going to make wedge color identities much more viable.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everything's very firmly 2-color or monocolor right now in the Standard meta, and the Shocklands, I hope, are going to open up some of those 3-color identities. Maybe we'll start to see the Tarkir Dragonstorm, it was the Teamer Snapcaster.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's going to turn on some of those more difficult to play in standard Tarkir Dragonstorm cards that had the potential but just not the support. And I think this first wave of shocks is going to begin the process of turning on those powerful cards that were limited by their color identity.
Oh, yeah. Like, speaking of the set mechanics, you know, Simic Ramp and Gruul Landfall, hey, that's Teamer right there.
Yeah.
Splash, get both.
Very easily doable.
Yeah, your landfall cards start to get real crazy.
Well, in pre-release, I ended up playing an Esper deck that never really got working because those colors didn't merge well. He tried to make a wedge that didn't fit. Mm-hmm. I played against a Rakdos deck that has single blue card in it, so kind of Grixis, and that one worked much better. Right. And then I played against a Teamer deck, which is where I got my one loss from, was the Teamer deck, where they were able to get landers out early, get a ton of mana on board, and by turn 4 was throwing down just big creature after big creature, and I just wasn't able to deal with it.
Yep.
Like,
sounds about right.
It's going to make standard siege rhinos possibly viable. That's all I'm saying. Possibly. I'll quit burying the lead for you, Wyatt. Talk to us about these planet lands.
Okay. So, the whole...
I've been edging you long enough.
You have. So, first off, I just want to say, let's look at some statistics just very, very quickly. The lands come in tapped to begin with.
Yeah.
To activate their ability, you need to station 12, which means you have to tap creatures to get 12 counters on the lands before you can start doing what the super special sauce on the land is supposed to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that is so disappointing is because Red has so many other better effects that this could have been. This could have easily been a Valakut the Molten Pinnacle, which is an iconic red land. It could have been an extra combat step. It could have been a doubler of some kind, damage or non-combat damage. You know, it could have been a Jeska's Will. It could have been a Krenko on a land. Like, anything else would have been better than this, because everything else gets away with so much more. I do not want to understate how much Uthros Titanic God Core is like the pinnacle of the lands. Like, blue and green, hands down top notch, like the best ones. I can see so many instances where Uthros will get 12 counters on it in almost no time, because there are cards that benefit from being benefit from having a number of artifacts, and those creatures are usually artifacts themselves, so that kind of feeds into its own strategy. I'm sure like 2 taps and you have 12 counters on this ready to go ahead and start just making bukus of mana. Yeah. The green one is Gaia's Cradle, which, as anyone who has watched any kind of Play to Win or watches any kind of CEDH content, it's a really, really good land. There's a reason it's like $600, $500, you know. Sure. A couple of things that can tap and untap that, you're going crazy. The Susor, which is the black land, 2 life, sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to the sacrifice creature's power. That's Shadowheart. It's And then the white one, you get to make a token. It's a legendary token because they were trying to limit it, but it's a token nonetheless. Like, having 2 of one thing is better than just 1.
You get to copy the best thing you have.
Again. And if there's some kind of, like, sacrifice thing for it, like, oh my god, there's a legendary artifact that, when you sacrifice it, you get to take an extra turn. I want to say it's like, Ugin's something.
You keep talking, I'll look it up.
It was like it was a 7-cost artifact. and it was Ugin something or the Spirit Dragon something, and it's like, if a player would take an extra turn, skip that turn. When this artifact leaves the battlefield or is destroyed, or is, you can put it into exile and take an extra turn after this one. If you had something like that...
Ugin's Nexus.
Ugin's Nexus, yes.
We got there.
Yeah,
there are only 8 artifacts that reference extra turns, by the way. Fun fact.
Look at that.
Anyway.
And what does Ugin's Nexus say?
If a player would begin an extra turn, that player skips that turn instead. If Ugin's Nexus will be put into the graveyard from the battlefield, instead exile it and take an extra turn after this one.
So, since it says player, it's irrelevant to the conversation I just had, because they would both, But still, someone will figure something out there. Someone who's smarter than me.
It could help with Time Sieve. I know Magistrate's Scepter would go very well in the Proliferate Commander deck because of the charge counters on it. It kind of fits there. But you see where the gears are turning.
Yeah.
So
yes,
why
exactly.
So why then are you so upset at the red land?
Because because there's too much investment for what red wants to do. At the end of the day, red wants to get in, hit you with creatures, and there's just so many better ways to give your creatures haste. Ogre Battle Driver, Anger in the Graveyard, Tuk Rubble Fort, Fervor, Mass Hysteria, Hammer of Perforos, like, you can go on, and there are things that give haste, are hard to interact with, such as Anger, or I think it's either of the Perforoses. Both give your creatures haste, I'm sure. Or I know for a fact one does. And they're both indestructible, so difficult to get rid of. There's the card from Brothers War, Bitter Feud, that when you sacrifice it, things get haste. There's just so much stuff. Ogre Battle Driver, just from a creature coming in, it gets +2/+0 and haste for 4 mana. So I just don't see a world in any kind of case where you would want to have Caveron, because you're tapping creatures. Again, and you can only do this at sorcery speed, so it's not like you're getting any kind of benefit of holding back creatures and then tapping before your turn to untap them.
And that, I think, is the biggest mark against this, is when you look at it at a surface level, I immediately think, like, a mono red, like, aggressive standard deck would be happy to sacrifice a land to get a 2/2, give everything haste, and just swing in for the win. But the fact that you're going to have to take so much time and so many creatures that could be attacking, and instead are putting charge counters on this land, just so that you can pay a lot of mana to sacrifice a land to get a 2/2 and give some stuff haste and a little buff.
I'm not saying there's not a home for it, but at the end of the day, it's just something that, as a long-time red player, you consistently see red let you down when it comes to, like, the big mythic cards of the set. Like, if you look at the original Praetor cycle, Urabrask is hands down the weakest. Like, sure, it does what it's supposed to do because, your opponent's creatures enter tapped and yours have haste. So it's like holding them back while boosting you forward, sure. But, I mean, when you look at every other Praetor that came out during that time, Elish Norn is a board wipe that sticks around, pretty much. There's no Mana Dork surviving a -2/-2, and it's buffing your team. Crazy. Jin Gitaxias takes away their hand, and you get to draw cards. Vorinclex is literally a toxic card that doesn't let your opponent's lands untap. And Sheoldred, you're reanimating stuff every, on your upkeep, and they're sacrificing stuff. Like, and then you go forward again, and you look at the new Praetors, and it's the same thing, where Urabrask is getting the short end of the stick once again. And, like, I know red just had a bunch of stuff banned, so it's not like it's a weak color. in that regard. I'm just saying when when you stand it up against the other cards that it's supposed to stand toe-to-toe with, you're like, this looks terrible. I would rather untap any of the other lands and try to get their effect again than go through the rigmarole of trying to get one Caveron activation.
I would rather untap a regular non-basic that taps for 2 colors.
Yeah.
You know, like...
And there are other lands that also can tap to give a creature haste. Like, we got one in Modern Horizons 3. You know, you exert
Not
it...
standard
and you
legal.
make,
But...
No, standard legal, but... Again,
standard doesn't need help with
why
haste.
why would you want this?
Yeah, no. Wyatt, do you feel like you've gotten it off your chest at this point?
I think I've said
Take a
everything
deep
I
breath.
need to say about Caveron Memorial World.
Okay, good.
So do not come for me anymore, okay? I know
Yeah.
that there's a place for the land. I'm just
There
saying,
is.
in comparison to the lands it's supposed to stand with in its own cycle, it's obviously the weakest one.
Yeah. Red doesn't need much help.
No.
But, give it like a fun tool. It didn't even need to be super powerful. Just make it like kind of neat, But let's talk about the big cards, though. The big boys for Edge of Eternities. The headliner card, Sathera the Super Void. 2 black for a legendary enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exiles it. At the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, sacrifice Sathera, then put a creature card exiled with it onto the battlefield under your control with 2 additional +1/+1 counters.
Yeah.
Your creatures are dying, your opponent's creatures are exiling, so the exiled creatures are always going to be an opponent's creature, and it's always going to enter in bigger on your end. It is very cool. Very thematic
Very
as
cool
well.
indeed.
It is very thematic because Sathera, from what I understand of what's going on in Edge of Eternities, is like popping around and like destroying a lot of planets. And so this pops over. When everything's dead, it goes away. It moves on to the next planet, moves on to the next game. Sathera is awesome. For 4 mana, I think it is relatively fairly costed.
Yep.
It's going to be at home in any Aristocrats deck, obviously.
Yeah.
Just note, if you cast it and a player does not have creatures, it does nothing. Because it'll be gone.
Right.
Just putting that out there. What do you think of Sathera? I think the alt arts are beautiful.
Yeah. But even just the base card itself, this is like a Grave Pact or almost a Dictate of Erebos sort of style effect. Like, sure, it's not going to stick around, but, I mean, even if you put it down and then the very next turn, like the following turn is a board wipe, you still get all those creatures.
Mm-hmm. Is it a replacement effect? Let's see. Sathera. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exile. So I don't... I don't think your opponents would be able to exile
I'm saying
anything.
you would probably play it with something that, like, you are sacrificing.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, if this comes down and then someone board wipes and you sack your board
In
2,
response.
Yeah, in response. Even if...
It's a lot of value.
Right. And
That is
even
a lot of
if
value.
it gets back around to your end step and there's, a player has no creatures and you have to sacrifice it, you
still
getting
get their best thing.
Yeah, you still get their best thing.
That is good. Yeah, I didn't think of that. I didn't think of the whole sacking in response. My mind went to the Outlaws of Thunder Junction plot card, where you plot it. It's black sorcery, and then when you cast it, you can sacrifice any number of creatures and then draw a card for each one that you sacrifice. Mm-hmm. So you can draw a bunch of cards.
Similar to reprocess.
You can force a bunch of people to get rid of a bunch of stuff if you do the math correctly. You can keep Sathera around as just kind of insurance against people doing some shenanigans. Mm-hmm. Or you can just do it to kill a bunch of things and get the best one. I think if you open a Sathera, you're sitting pretty.
Yeah.
You're sitting pretty.
It's a mythic for a reason.
The next one, the first art that we saw from the set, Tezzeret, Cruel Captain. A 3-mana colorless planeswalker Tezzeret with 4 starting loyalty and a static ability of whenever an artifact you control enters, you put a loyalty counter on Tezzeret. Surely no way to break that.
None.
0 loyalty ability, you untap a target artifact or creature. If it's an artifact creature, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. -3, you search your library for an artifact with mana value 1 or less. You reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle. And then -7, you get an emblem with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put 3 +1/+1 counters on target artifact creature you control. If it is, or target artifact you control. If it's not a creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature. Don't really know if the emblem is really gonna be what you're aiming for here. I think that repeated search from your deck is what you're going to be wanting. It's colorless. It's 3 mana, so it is very aggressively costed.
Yes.
I don't know if there's any decks that it really stands out as an auto-include in right now, but I can see an artifact synergy deck really loving this.
Arcbound. Modular.
Yeah. Oh,
this goes crazy in that. Are you serious? Like, untap a target artifact so you're able to ramp. -3, you can search for some kind of sack outlet, a sensei's top, whatever. And then if you can get to the -7, that's just benefit for all your modular creatures because they get the counters. If they get sacrificed, it doesn't matter because they're going on to another creature. This works great with things like the Ozolith or the other Ozolith. Death's Presence.
Anyway, it's good.
Lots of stuff. Good.
It's pretty good.
Good. Very good.
Very good. Very Tezzeret. I like that we're starting to get planeswalkers again. I felt like we were in a planeswalker drought for a little while.
Yeah. Like they
were
almost a little gun shy.
They were. They need another set where they print like several planeswalkers, in my opinion.
Yeah. But I think we need to get new planeswalkers too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, 2 more of the big headliner cards. Obviously, there are plenty of cards that have value here, but the ones that everyone's talking about. The Endstone, a 7-mana legendary artifact. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, you draw a card, and then at the beginning of your end step, if your life total becomes half your starting life total, rounded up. What might seem like a downside is, in fact, a very, very large upside. In Commander, this is going to go crazy, absolutely nutso, with a card like Bolas's Citadel.
Yeah.
Where you can get yourself all the way down and in life total, and then, you're right back up to 20, and now you have all this value. There's talk of it possibly being a CEDH card. The problem is it's 7 mana, but playing a land, casting a spell, all drawing you cards is very, very good. A lot of things want you to pay life for abilities that you can do way more freely as well is also pretty good. I opened one out of a collector booster. It was like $40 when I opened it. When I checked it last, it was less than $30, so price is going down a little bit. I'm a little sad. Probably going to trade it in at Gen Con, but Endstone, what you got?
7 mana is really not a barrier for entry anymore, not like it used to be. There's lots of ways you can cheat this out. And it's just going to be good. It's literally like a create your own storm card almost, where every time you cast something, you're drawing. So if you can, I don't know, say find a way to make artifacts, cost nothing, and then a way to bounce set artifacts that now cost nothing, just go to town.
I don't think you can do that. I don't think that's
there's probably not a whole lot of stuff that would do that.
The last big card I want to call out, the Thrumming Hive Pool. We got Slivers back, kind of. 6 mana artifact. 6 mana artifact with affinity for Slivers. Also, Slivers you control have double strike and haste, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you create 2 1/1 colorless Sliver creature tokens. All you Sliver players, enjoy. Everyone else, run more artifact removal. Now,
Yeah.
now, we're getting into the fun part. We're going to go back and forth picking some individual cards that we want to talk about. Wyatt, do you have anything off the top of your head, or you want me to go first?
Off the top of the dome, real quick, right beside it, Virulent Silencer, a 3-mana artifact creature robot assassin that says whenever a non-token artifact creature you control deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters.
Finn has a robot pet, huh?
Finn has a robot pet. And let's not forget, Double Strike is a thing.
Yep.
Now you have 4.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a pretty good card. Colorless goes in anything. Just wanted to call that out because when I looked through the set the first time, I was like, this is just Finn. This is just Finn.
It feels like we just rotated out of standard all of the toxic cards from All Will Be One.
Yeah.
It feels like it just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Guess poison counters are here to stay.
Yeah. But I do feel they put a couple of restrictions on it, making it non-token. So even though the set makes a lot of robot tokens, that won't really help you that much.
Mm-hmm.
But there are quite a few things that are floating around that are non-token artifacts that are kind of easy to get in there and get damage down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Spaceships.
A lot of good spacecraft. A lot of good, very aggressively costed artifact creatures just in general exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's...
So if someone finds a way
good.
to give those double strike or, just get in there and smack down.
All you got to do is connect with 5 creatures throughout a game with this on board.
Yep.
That's not a lot. If you're hitting 2 if you're getting 2 through on a turn, like that clock is fast. So, yeah, I think an aggressive artifact list could definitely do something with that. I want to bring up one of.
Let's hear it.
I want to bring up one of the few legendary creatures released in this set. It is a rare Servandum Sunstar Exemplar. Okay. For 1 white and 1 black, you get a 2/2 legendary creature human knight with vigilance and menace, and whenever another creature you control dies or is put into exile, you put a +1/+1 counter on Servandum and you gain 1 life. When Servandum dies or is put into exile while its power is 4 or greater, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. Blink.
That's pretty good.
Flicker. It's a weird balance of I want to have +1/+1 counters and I want to attack because I have good keywords.
Mm-hmm.
But also I want to protect myself through flickering where I lose said +1/+1 counters, but I get the benefit of destroying things. I don't know what exactly... I think it's a fun commander to build around, obviously. I don't know.
How would that work with phasing?
Phasing is not going into exile. It just doesn't exist.
Okay.
So it doesn't change the zone that it's in for phasing.
I was trying to find a way it could keep its counters, but still get the effect.
Sadly not. Thankfully, there are plenty of cards that when things enter, they get counters. You can move counters around. Mm-hmm. There's several. There's a common in white here for Edge of Eternities. It's an artifact creature. Let me see if I can find it. I used it to great effect in my pre-release deck. The Dockworker Drone, 1 and a white, 1/1 artifact creature robot. It enters with a counter, and when it dies, you put its counter on a target creature you control. So there's a lot of counters being moved around. I think there's an interesting flicker or blink deck that this can fit into personally. So
for sure.
It's one of the 2 legendary creatures that like really stood out to me in this set. Yeah. What do you got next, Wyatt?
I got a card that just on its own seems like it's everything a landfall player could ever want. I'm talking about the Ice Till Explorer. Mm-hmm. It is a 4 mana, 2 generic, 2 green, 2/4. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. That by itself would be great, but there's more. You may play lands from your graveyard. Those two effects would be great, but there's more. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, mill a card.
There's a reason it's a $20 card.
Yeah, this does everything. If you combine this with like Hedge Shredder from Duskmourn, you mill land off top, land comes into play, landfall trigger again. Boom, boom, boom. Fill up the graveyard. Then you have things like we talked about earlier in the episode. World Shaper or World Shaker, the merfolk that when it dies, return all lands. Bellow does it. Splendid Reclamation does it.
Well, for one more mana, you get a Crucible of Worlds that lets you play an extra land and mills you a card when you play a land, and is also a creature that can attack.
Yeah. So...
pretty solid. Well, and the number of... What's... Abzan, thank you. Abzan and Golgari commanders that they've printed that want specifically lands going in and out of the graveyard. I'm thinking of, like, what is it? The Necroblossom from Modern Horizons 3. They just had a Tarkir commander deck where you want to be getting lands into the graveyard.
Yep.
This is just an easy auto-include, automatic upgrade for so many decks.
Yes.
No, that was... it's one of the cards that I was like, it does what? And nobody is talking about it, like, at all.
Yeah, and it does literally everything.
Yeah, it's all just one self-contained package. It's very, very good. Along those lines, I want to call out the Frenzied Baloth in green. Green for a 3/2 creature beast. Can't be countered, has trample and haste. Creatures can't be countered, and combat damage can't be prevented. Not as powerful as the Ice Till, but in that same kind of vein of if you're all in on creature combat damage in green, it in and of itself fulfills all of the boxes you would want to check in that strategy all at once for 2 mana.
Oh yeah, it itself cannot be countered. It comes down early and makes it to where you can't, like, they can't counter your other creatures that are going to come up afterwards. And it has the questing beast benefit of combat damage can't be prevented. Yeah.
It's 3 very, very pertinent things. And it, in of itself, being a 3/2 trampling, hasting creature, attacking early at 2 mana, green has 0 ways to pump their creatures at all. So trample, it's
don't even
not
worry about
mean
it.
Anything.
Don't even
worry.
trip.
Don't even trip, dog. Don't even trip, yo. All right, that was technically mine. What do you got next?
I got Zoo Ifit, Osteoharmonist. I believe I'm saying that correct. It is a 3 mana, 1 and 2 black legendary creature human wizard with tap, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's a skeleton in addition to its other types and has no abilities. Activate only as a sorcery. This is great because this cheats stuff into play, which you can then sacrifice to your station land in black, draw a bunch of cards off of it, and if you have something like, say, Fake Your Own Death, Supernatural Stamina, Not Dead After All, Undying Malice, anything like that, you just hit it with that real quick, it dies and comes back, and now it will get its effect and everything else.
Yeah.
Straight up just seems like a really good commander. I'm pretty sure there's going to be all kinds of ways to put things that maybe have really bad effects but are very strong into the graveyard and just capitalize off the fact that you can get a giant beater out that can benefit you in other ways.
Synergizes very well with the Umbral Color Zealot, a free sacrifice outlet in this set that lets you surveil one. Very Viscera in that sense. My brain also immediately goes to Blink because it's returning to the battlefield. You can blink it and then it becomes what it was. Not really able to do that in mono black.
Well, that's why you sacrifice that's
why you could just keep going forever. No, I think it's smart that they put that on a tap ability and they said it has nothing else. You just get the body. Because
that is it. That is the only thing.
That is all you get. That is all you get. Oh gosh, there's so many interesting cards to bring up.
Yes.
I wanna draw a line of connection to the Final Fantasy set. Hope Esteem from the Final Fantasy set combined life gain and mill in an interesting way, and it got a direct auto include sorcery with space time anomaly. 2 white and blue for a sorcery. Target player mills cards equal to your life total. Very simple, very clean, and very obviously them being like, look, we want a Zorius mill life gain combo something to be a thing.
Yes.
Just trust us. I think
they're going to make people hate mill again.
They really are. They're really trying to make mill a thing again. And it's like, do we
and
want
people are
that?
going to hate it once more.
Do we want it? Frankly, I think the hate about mill is a little bit overblown.
Oh,
Personally.
I think anyone that just hates playing against mill doesn't play a graveyard deck.
Oh, yeah. No.
Because any graveyard deck is like, oh, thank you. I was going to have problems trying to figure out how to get that in there, but you put it right where I wanted it.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem with mill decks in general, is if there's a prominent graveyard deck, then it's like that's your worst case scenario matchup.
Yep.
Which maybe life gain has the potential to be a remedy for that in a sense. Having a good sideboard where you can pivot to a life gain strategy when you're in those matchups in the 60 card formats might be a thing. Who knows? I don't. I just thought it was a very interesting, very obvious thread from one set to the next.
Absolutely.
That was not a core archetype at all.
Right.
For either set. It was just one-off cards that are being... I wonder if we're going to get a weird life gain mill thing in Spider-Man, and then in Avatar... I could totally see that being a weird...
They're like, guys, please, come on, play life gain mill. Please.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, what you got?
I got one that I'm surprised I only heard, just minimal on. But it's probably because we went right into Spider-Man. But I want to talk about Exalted Sunborn.
Ooh.
3 generic, 2 white, 4/5 Angel Wizard, Flying Lifelink. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. It just says tokens.
Yep.
Doesn't specify creatures. And it has a warp cost for 2 mana. It gives you a cheap, quick turn to just, get all the shit out, and then a permanent that you can have later that can be free from being fucked with. Absolutely. Imagine, if you would, you're in a Azorius Mill deck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have a Smothering Tithe out.
Ooh, is it standard legal now?
Windfall in your hand.
Yeah.
And this in your hand as well.
Yeah.
You warp for 2 mana into a Windfall with Smothering Tithe out.
That's a lot of treasures.
That's a lot of treasures.
That's a lot of treasures. My mind's eye likes it. My mind's eye likes it quite a bit. There's a reason it's a mythic. Anything that's doubling or tripling tokens is going to be powerful. And I love that they put it on a warp creature. So, 5 mana is, slightly expensive for this kind of an effect, but not really.
Right.
But being able to get it for a turn for 2 mana...
Yeah, and there's so much havoc you can just go crazy in a turn with just being able to double up your tokens. Imagine this with, Academy Manufacturer.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Because that curve is logarithmic, and it goes way up if you start doubling and tripling.
Exactly.
That's fucked. I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, along the token generation line, I think it's interesting that we have kind of a Corey Steelcutter at home with the Cosmogrand Zenith, another white mythic, 2 and a white for a 2/4 human soldier. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you choose 1. Create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, or you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Obviously not at all as powerful as Corey Steelcutter. I want to put that out there. The comparison is you have a lower cost permanent that when you cast your second spell each turn, you get a token. In this case, 2. Obviously, it's not going to take over formats like Core Steelcutter did, but still a very efficient card for 3 mana. Being able to both build the wide board and then make the board that's wide now tall as well. It's good in both phases of the game when you're trying to get the wide board, when you're trying to get the board bigger. It helps in both instances. Much like the green cards we were talking about, it does everything in that strategy that you want it to do when you want it to do it.
Yep, absolutely.
Very efficient. All right. What do you say? Do we want to rapid fire 3 more each?
Yep, and we'll do that real quick.
And we'll wrap it up. We're a little bit over an hour now.
Yep.
All said and told. So we'll do 3 more each, and then we'll wrap it up. What do you got?
Okay. I got Pain for All. 2 generic, 1 red enchantment aura, enchant creature you control. When this aura enters, enchant creature deals damage equal to its power to any other target, and whenever enchant creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to each opponent.
Stuffy doll, any creature.
Stuffy doll in any creature. Stuffy doll in Blasphemous Act. Stuffy doll in Star of Extinction.
Oh my god, fuck that. I love it. One of the big ones that I think needs to be brought up is the Cosmogoyf. We got a new Goyf. It is, let's see, black and green for a star and 1+ elemental Lurgoyf. This creature's power is equal to the number of cards you own in exile, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. So it's a Tarmogoyf for exile.
Yep.
For
Good.
black and green. Pretty neat, I would say. Pretty neat.
Pretty neat indeed.
Pretty neat.
I'm going to go with the Hemosymbic Might. A 1 green, 1/1. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, another target creature you control gets +X until end of turn, where X is this creature's power. There are a lot of ways to get some counters on this, double them counters up, and all of a sudden, you got a pretty big board.
Even within this set in a limited environment, I mean, there's so many +1/+1 counter synergies in green. The stations are going to make it easy to tap, so it's not attacking and risking its own life. For 1 mana. There's a lot of good 1 mana green creatures that have been coming out recently. Like this one, Saza's Chocobo comes to mind as well. Just very good 1-drops.
The Chocobo.
The Chocobo.
Let's
go to black. Black. Arch Enemy's Charm. We have a new charm available to us. Arch Enemy's Charm. Black for an instant. You choose 1, you exile a target creature or planeswalker, or you return 1 or 2 target creatures and or planeswalker cards from your graveyard to your hand, or you put 2 +1/+1 counters on a target creature you control, and it gains lifelink until end of turn. The charms, the last one we had was Archdruid's Charm from Murders at Karlov Manor, I want to say.
Sounds right.
The 3-mana charms, we've had, the Archmage's Charm, Archdruid's Charm. Arch Enemy's Charm is an interesting kind of verbiage take on it.
Yeah, for sure.
I like all of them. I think they're all very good. Having modal spells available to you that give you a wide variety of options to choose from, and for 3 mana, I think that's very good in a black deck or maybe a 2-color deck that has black in it.
Yeah.
All right, what's your last one?
Last one, I know it's a mythic, but it just does something that I love. Devastating Onslaught. Sorcery for XX and red. Create X tokens that are copies of target artifact or creature you control. Those tokens gain haste until end of turn. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. You pair this with something like the angel we spoke of earlier. Oh yeah. The Exalted Sunborn.
Token production goes
just skyrockets.
To the moon, you might even say.
To the moon.
To the moons.
And it's in Boros colors, which already kind of want to be doing tokeny shenanigans.
Yep.
So there I'm very excited on that.
And we're going to end with the mechanic that I think is the most powerful. We talked about the Starfield Shepherd and how much I love it. Your token doubler, it's got warp. What do you think the best warp card in the set is?
I'm going to go with the blue warp card.
Starfield Vocalist. 3 and a blue for a 3/4 human bard. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time, and you can warp it in for 1 and a blue. It is Panharmonicon on a creature that you can get for a turn for 2 mana, and then get for its full regular cost later.
Mm-hmm.
So good. So good.
We basically just went into your favorite color wedge right there, didn't we? Because we went white, red, and blue. And they all work so well together.
They really, really do. I'm a Jeskai boy at heart. Really love that color combo. I was eating real good in Tarkir Dragonstorm, I can tell you that much.
And apparently it hasn't stopped because you continue to eat very well.
I mean, red, the lands aren't as great, but...
The lands! Why did you bring up the land? I was past this. Why, Wizards? Why would you give us a good red land?
At the end of the day, though, Edge of Eternities, I think the color diversity is very wide. I think the card quality is very high. There's a lot of very good, well-costed commons and uncommons. There's a lot of powerful abilities. I want Warp to come back. Warp is such a fun ability. I'm worried that they kind of painted themselves into a corner a little bit with the name Warp. Mm-hmm. But I think in any set where you've got magic going on, like I could see a Strixhaven kind of set where Warp, it's just like, oh, you're like spellcasting teleporty stuff, Yeah. Lander tokens. I hope we have a comeback, and maybe they twist Lander to be like from a spacecraft landing on a planet to just like
something.
It's something else. I don't know what, but it's a token that I would love to see come back. It's got this set, I think, is much better than I would have anticipated going into it, honestly.
Absolutely.
I'm very, very high on Edge of Eternities. I've been edging for so long.
We really have, folks.
And I think I'm about to bust.
Yeah.
As we go into...
We're about to bust all over this galaxy.
We're about to turn some people blind on these Eternities, All right, overall, we're looking at the sets of 2025. I would put this... Oh, boy. So, Aether Drift's at the bottom, obviously. I think... Man, it's tough. I think there's Aether Drift, a very large gap. Then, as much as it pains me, I think I got to put Final Fantasy there.
Yep.
I really love Final Fantasy. I think the set runs really well. And then we get into Tarkir and Edge of Eternities, where I don't know. I think it's a toss-up on any given day. Which one I would put above. I think Warp is that fun.
It is.
That mechanic in and of itself is so fun to play with, and like every color has access to Warp in some way. That it just
it's also just the fact that it's like sneak attack almost.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But it's not even punishing you for playing the Warp cost.
No. It's not.
Like, and that's what makes it so good.
You can get the full fat value of the card later as just an extra card in your hand.
Yep.
I think recency bias would have me putting it on top right now. I think at the end of the day, with a little bit of time away from this, looking at the year as a whole, I would probably put Tarkir Dragonstorm over this.
Mm-hmm.
I think the highs of Edge of Eternity go a bit higher than Tarkir Dragonstorm, but I also think the dips, like just the general design and level of the set, is just a touch lower than Tarkir as well.
Just a smidge, though. Just
a hair. These are both. Yeah. These are two very, very good sets.
Yeah.
I'm much happier with Edge of Eternities than I was expecting when they announced it. Quite frankly.
Same.
They handled it. They handled it quite well. And even my biggest worry was like the vibe on the art of the cards, which is one of my big. We on the last episode of the regular podcast talked about Spider-Man, how I feel like the vibe is just off.
Mm-hmm.
They managed to give you that space energy, but kept the vibe decidedly Magic the Gathering, and you get that
awesome.
through all the art, and I'm a big fan.
Yes.
I'm a very big fan. Don't really like doing number ratings because it means nothing, but I give it a really good out of 10.
Absolutely.
I give it a 12 stationed charge counters on red planet land out of 10.
Stop going back to the red land.
Thank you guys
just
very
when
much.
I think I've calmed down, you bring it back up.
Thank you so much for joining us on this, the Lord's whatever episode of Bonus Action, Edge of Eternities review. Verdict, good. Thank you, Wyatt, a.k.a. the Typical Gemini. You can find him on all the social media making content. Got a lot of funny bits over on the TikTok and the YouTube Shorts, I might add.
Thank you.
But doing a lot of good bits over there. The specifically the video where people are committing magic crimes and then you're giving them sentences. That's
Thank you.
That's very clever. I'm a big fan of that. All right, with all that being said, I'm going to Gen Con. We'll see you on the next regular episode of the podcast where I can talk about Gen Con and how I totally won the regional championship qualifying tournament there.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about your victory.
I probably won't, but that would be really fucking cool if I did.
It would.
Hell, if I managed to make it to the top 64 and make it a second day, I'm like, let's fucking go. This is the greatest day ever.
Let's go.
Let's go. With all that being said, we love you very much, and as always,
Auf Wiedersehen.